Do I wait for the timer or just start? Wait for it? Okay. So, hello everyone. Thank you for being here. Today I'm going to talk about building assistive apps with app actions. So this is my face. I'm Elaine. I live in France. I work in France, but I'm Brazilian. And today at the keynote, Horacio was saying, yes, he has maybe the worst combination of accents. I hope I don't have a really pronounced French accent. Even if 2 days ago I was in London and someone said to me that I have a French accent, so please come to me and say to me if I have so. I really don't think I have. But say, oh, sometimes when you say this words like that, oh, I can say that you can speak French. But come on, but even with my Brazilian background, I really think that I don't, but whatever, I can accept that. I am a GDE for the Google Assistant, but I work with Android, actually. I'm an Android developer. So, and I also know I can use all of the technologies that you can see there. So if you want to chat about anything that's there, I'll be happy to chat about it. But my preferred subjects are, of course, Android and the Google Assistant. So in order to talk about app actions, this new feature, let's just start talking about apps. So apps are great. If you're here in this conference, you're probably an app developer or an app designer. You work with apps. I love apps. You love apps. There's an app for everything, to get entertainment, to do stuff, to see videos, to edit photos. There's an app for everything. That's really great. But the problem is that there are a lot of apps. I don't know about you guys. I use maybe 5 to 10 apps every day, and then sometimes I can use a new app, but maybe I won't engage to it. I won't keep it. I maybe forget about it, because the thing is that, I don't know, there's just too much things out there, and then I just forget that I have a new app. And there are some statistics that say that 1 in 4 people, they don't use an app for more than once. So that's really scary, because basically people, this is the first statistic, and then there's another one that says basically the same thing, that people, after installing a new app, they won't use it again after only 3 days. And this number, it can go up to 90% after a week, after a month, sorry. So yeah, what's going on? Are apps dead? Basically, the apps that are out there, there are not going to be new ones. For newcomers, it's going to be really sad, really bad for them to get a new place, to get a chance actually to be recognized. Of course not. Well, but maybe bad apps are. There's one really interesting statistic from apps on the Google Play and on the App Store. You can see that the the green bars are always going up. The Android apps, there are more and more apps. But from 2016 to 2017, there were actually fewer apps on the Apple Store. And the reason for that is that in 2017, Apple did a really, really big cleaning of their App Store, removing apps that were doing the same thing, duplicates, or they were crashing, things like that. So yeah, bad apps don't have a place anymore on the stores. But the thing is, if you're here, you're really interested on app development, on building really good apps. So I hope you take in consideration all of these factors right here, like thinking about the UI and UX, about the user, about the performance of your app. There are a lot of features out there, like alpha and beta testing, that are broadly available to everyone. So you can really take advantage of that. And also take advantage of the features of the platform. So on the Android side, you can use Google Play Instant, for example. You have push notifications. You can optimize your Google Play Store page. And those are just a few examples. You have a lot of ways of really optimizing your app and really getting it to be a really, really great app. But still, There are a bazillion apps out there. And the problem is, as I was saying before, it's really, as a newcomer, it's really hard getting your app out there, getting discovered. And even if the user has, after really taking care of the quality of the app, of the experience that you provide to the user, after spending a lot of money on marketing and getting that user base, you saw the numbers, the users are going to forget about your app, so what are you going to do? So that's one thing that App Actions try to solve, one problem that App Actions try to solve. So let's see what they are. So in 2017, Google has introduced a new feature with Android Oreo. That is the predictive app row on the launcher. So you can see here that those apps that are predicted on the first row, with Gmail, Chrome, WhatsApp, and YouTube, they are predicting to the user in relation to its usage and on the time of the day, on the context. And they have announced that they have 60% prediction rate. When they talk about it, they say they're really, really happy about it, but come on, 60% is not that good a statistics. So here on this App Pro, right there, we can say that maybe 2 of them, they're not going to be good ones for you, but yeah, it's okay. So this year, they're taking a step further. They're introducing App Actions. They are going from predicting the next app that you're going to use to the next action that you're going to do inside an app. So for example, YouTube is to watch a video. If it's an ordering food app, is to order something. If it's an e-commerce app, it's to shop, and etc. And one way that this feature works is that it would get the content of a user query. We're going to see the detail afterwards. So here, for example, on artist. And then you as a developer, you can say that, okay, this content, I can manage this content. I can offer something to the user that uses this content. So for example, listen to the songs of the artist, watch the videos, buy the tickets, find updates about them. And then they would suggest your app if you have said that your app can manage this kind of data and can accomplish this action. And what's really great is that it works across the Android platform as a whole. So it works on the Android launcher and the smart text selection when you select text, on the Play Store, on the Google Assistant, and on the Google Search app. So let's see how it shows itself. So you can see on the launcher, we still have the predictive app row right up there. But now, for you, those of you who are on Android P, you can see 2 actions that are going to be suggested to you based on context, based if you're on your car, if you have your headphones plugged in, based on time of the day. So right here, we can see an example where the user has 2 actions that were suggested to them. So the first one is to call someone, and the second one is to the itinerary to go to someone's school. So we can predict, I actually know because I saw the example, there was actually a dad that this is the end of the day, so what he usually does is that he calls his wife. They decide who is going to go to pick up their kid at the school. And then he usually loses the discussion, so he is the one that goes to pick up the kid at school. So that's why he has the itinerary suggested right there. This is how it looks for the smart text selection. So what's going on here, it's at an email where someone had restaurants, a list of restaurants that were suggested to them to pick up one to a trip. What the person did is that they selected the text, and then the system that works with that, it has detected, because Google knows that this is actually the name of a restaurant, And there's one app. I don't actually know which app is this. Maybe it's OpenTable or something like that. This app has declared that it knows it can do something with this kind of data, and this action is actually to reserve, to book a table for these restaurants. So the system has decided to suggest it to the user. What's really interesting is that in the Play Store, if you put content like the name of an artist, and if you have, if you actually forgot that that you actually had the app that did something that you'd like, it would directly deep link into it. Of course, you first suggest it to you right there on the first row, and then if you click on the suggestion chip, it would deep link to the page. And what's really interesting here is that for people who don't have the app installed yet, it would still get suggested. When you click on it, you will go to the details page, and then it would deep link after the installation if the user liked the suggestion and have installed it. And it works also very well on the Google Assistant. You can see right here as someone at the top has asked, what is the real name of Lady Gaga? He got a basic card with the information. And then at the bottom there, you can see there are some apps that are suggested based on that content. And lastly, on the Google Search app, if you look for something like a movie title, you can get actions that are suggested to that, like get tickets or watch videos, just beside the regular stuff that we get. So this looks really great. So how do you actually integrate that on your Android apps? So first of all, I'm going to talk about one concept that we have with the Google Assistant. They are called built-in intents. One thing that Google is trying to resolve with this built-in intents is that when you ask a question with the Google Assistant, you can express yourself in an enormous, on a very kinds of way. And then us as developers, when you develop something for the Google Assistant, you have to actually list all of the variants of the ways which the user is going to express himself. And it can be a bit boring and really not very interesting. But the thing is that for very common actions or for intentions that are really used by a lot of people, they have said, oh, maybe we can make their lives easier, and we will do this list, this very long list with the ways that people are expressing themselves, and then the users, they say, okay, for this example, you can see a lot of sentences of how people express themselves to relax or to like do calming exercises. And then I can say, okay, I can use only a tag or only an ID that say relax or something like that. And then behind it, all of the sentences can be used. So really good. What they have announced is that all of these intents right there, they are the first ones that are going to come. Those that have a star on the right of the intents, they are the ones that are actually available right now. The other ones are going to come later. And if you don't see your use case here, you can go to the documentation page. You can submit a new intent for Google, and then we'll take that into account if it gets asked a lot. So those are built-in intents. So app actions, what are they? How, as an Android developer, do I integrate to my app? So to talk about that, you have to talk about two models. There are two models of actions that you can implement in your app. The first one is really action-centric and uses a deep link. So if you use deep links already in your app, maybe you do so. This is really easy to integrate because basically you have everything that you need. And you use the templates. And on the templates, if your action uses parameters, you can pass the parameters. And then you have to put in a template file called actions.xml. You have to, in a configuration file, sorry, actions.xml that you integrate on your Android Studio project. You put that link and all the parameters. I'm going to show you how it looks afterwards. This is for the action-centric URL template model. And then we have a second one that is the one that, with all the examples for the artist, this is the one that you're going to use if your use case uses, if it makes sense for your use case. This one is a little bit harder to put into place if you don't have a website, or if your website doesn't have the metadata well structured. And because the prerequisite for this in order to work is that the website has schema.org that it complies to the schema.org markup. So for example, here you have like a recipe site and a recipe companion app. So it has to comply with the schema.org recipe markup. And on your actions.xml, you put the URL like so. So this is what the actions.xml looks for like for the URL template. So you can see that you put right there, you can see my marker, yes. You can put right there the name, the intent name. So this is for an app to order ride, so it's the order ride intent name. And then here on the fulfillment part is basically how do you accomplish, how do you fulfill this action. So as I explained before, this is a URL that exposes a deep link with parameters. So for this case, we have two parameters, the drop-off locations and the pickup location. And then you have a basic mapping from the URL to something that from the URL to an intent parameter. And this is what it looks like for the structured data. Again, intent name and the parameters name. And then right here you have to put the schema.org schema type that it complies to. Your website with a URL filter like that. And for the fulfillment, you can put the URL that you're going to pass. And maybe if you want to, you can see, for analytics purpose, you can put the referrer. And just for information, this is what it looks like, for example, for this content-based app. What you have the kind of information that you have to put the URL, the name, and the and about how to say information. One important thing that you have to understand is the difference between semantic intents and Android intents, because basically what's happening behind is that we're taking a semantic intent and we're going to transform it in an Android intent as we know it. So the semantic intent is, for example, for this order ride application is get a ride to SFO. So it's you have put on your actions.xml file that you can manage this kind of intention. You have put actions.intent order ride, and you can get parameters like a drop-off location. And then the actions.xml is going to provide a link where you actually are going to transform the information to this URL right there. And then, thanks to all this framework, it's and the deep link API and how you use it, you're going to launch an intent with those specific parameters. So how do you submit your actions.xml? So what happens is you develop your app on an Android Studio like you do today. You put your actions.xml file on it. You submit it to the Play Store as you do today on the Play console. What happens is that the Play console is going to detect that you have an actions.xml file and is going to suggest to you to register your app, your actions, on the Actions on Google platform. And then you submit it, and it's going to be automatically available on all of the surfaces on the Google Assistant, the Search, Play Store, Smart Selection, and the launcher, as we saw before. Before submitting, though, you can test it. There's a plugin that is available on Android Studio that's called the Actions Test Tool, where you can actually submit the action on a preview mode, and you can test it on the Google Assistant, provided that on the Google Assistant you are logged in the same account as the developer account that submitted the app. So this is the only requisite for testing it. So you can basically test it, of course, before you submit it to see if everything is working fine. So yeah, though everything looks great, app actions are great. And the thing is that app actions, they are actually part of a larger framework that is called Actions on Google. Up until Google I/O of this year, Actions on Google was actually the developer platform for people who wanted to build applications for the Google Assistant. And so those are what we call today the conversational actions. Those are the, basically, if you want to develop an app for the Google Assistant, they're called the conversational actions because you use your voice, or even if you use text, you try to express yourself in a natural way. And so they have, they said, oh, maybe we can integrate better with the Android framework. And they have introduced this new feature called App Actions. And what's really interesting is that they are both based on the same foundations, as I said before, the built-in intents, but also the structured data that we saw on the websites. And one really important feature that they are based on is usage reporting, like with Firebase app indexing. This is a way of getting your app ranked well, because you see that Google is going to be the one that's going to take the decision of which apps are going to be suggested to the user. So if you use those kind of features there, or those kind of features, yes, if you do it well, your app will get ranked better. Someone once asked me, okay, that's really cool, but only the big apps are going to be suggested. My little app is never going to be suggested. So this is a really good way of optimizing your indexing or your ranking. There's also seamless digital subscriptions, because both of them, they are based on Google Play subscriptions. So if you have subscribed, I don't know, to a magazine, or so you have bought some digital goods on the Play Store with the conversational actions, it would work for app actions too. And you can take advantage of the identity foundation right there to get logged in really easily across all of those actions. So in summary, app actions, what they are, the problem that they were trying to solve is that when you have your phone, as Vibo was saying earlier, people are busy. They don't want to open an app to open an app. They want to get something done. If you click on an app, you actually behind it, you want to accomplish an action. So app actions, they're this new way of re-engaging with their users, maybe showing to them new features they didn't know that existed in the right context and at the right moment. So this is great. App actions work really well on the Android platform. But the thing is, as I said, I'm going to go back there. They are based on the same features that have built the conversational actions for the Google Assistant framework. And the thing is that there are a lot of the devices out there that work really well with the Google Assistant, like, of course, the Google Homes, smart displays, smart TVs, and even headphones. So it would be really a shame to don't take advantage of those platforms too that the users have. So what's really great is that you can actually, as Android developers, you can get started with the developing for actions on Google in general with app actions. You see, it's actually really easy to integrate. You only have to integrate a configuration file describing what your action is. You build and test it as you would on Android Studio, publish it to the Google Play console. And what's really cool is that once you do so, you can go further. Your action is actually going to be already registered. So if you want to, and if you'd like, you can create a conversational action using different tools, of course, because it's a completely different kind of application. So for this, you would use tools like Dialogflow. Dialogflow, I don't know if any of you have experience with developing apps for the Google Assistant and Dialogflow. One person, okay. Cool. So Dialogflow is basically, it's not the only way, but it's the recognized way, it's the recommended way to build apps for the Google Assistant. It would basically take the user input as text, because Google is going to do the speech-to-text part. So as a developer, what you get as an input is a text. But the thing is, the text is said in a natural way, so it's really hard to detect. If you want to do it by yourself, you can, but it's really hard in general to detect the exact intention and the parameters of what the user says. So Dialogflow basically is the tool that does that for you. This is where you build and you test, and then you can, even if you'd like to build a really rich experience, you can do a web app, a webhook that is linked to that, and then maybe do API calls or do database calls. So this is the developer tool for building developer actions, conversational actions, sorry. And then when it's ready, you can publish to the Actions on Google platform. So I have a lot of time still. If you'd like to go further, there are two really great talks that were given this year at Google I/O about how to integrate those features in your app. Thank you very much. So you still have like 10 minutes for questions if you have any. Yes? Oh.
Thank you for the presentation, really nice. You mentioned 4 ways of how the actions can be launched in the system.
Yes.
Do you think there is a way to launch an action when users, for example, looking for a contact in his contact book?
Not today. Those are the ways that they're available today. Oh, and I didn't say, but if you have, again, Android P, you can see some of those features right there. They're built in. You can see the app actions that are suggested in the launcher and so on. Not all of them are available, even as a consumer. And what I didn't say is that, unfortunately, app actions are not even in developer preview. They said they have announced at Google I/O that they are going to do the developer preview program like on June something, but it's still not available. And as for your question, no, it's not. If you search for someone in the context, no, it's not going to work. Not today, maybe one day, I don't know.
Hi, did I get it right that the app actions will be also suggested even if the app is not installed on the device?
On the Play Store.
On the Play Store.
This is the only place where when you don't have the app, an app that's not installed, an app that is not installed, it will be suggested to you. On all the other places, sorry?
What's the trigger to see the app actions on Google Store or on Play Store? What do you
need to do?
Action? Yeah.
You only have to include the actions.xml file saying that your app's accomplishing something, and if Google decides that your app is good enough to be there on that list, it will suggest to the user even if it doesn't have the app.
But what the user has to type in to see the actions?
Oh, yes. So this is the basic detection model of app actions. So this was the content-based app. So on the example that I gave before, if you go back to the Play Store right there, you can see right there that we have put an artist name. And actually Google has a catalog of, not all of course, but of a lot of artists. And with artists, they have actually mapped actions that can be related to artists, like listen to music, watch videos, get tickets. And if your app has declared that it can actually manage that action, it can be suggested. Is that clear?
Yes, now I see.
Yes, and the kind of data, the kind of content that they can manage today is artists, I think athletes, movies, and some other. There are not a lot, but of course they're always going to increase the functionalities and increase the type of contents that you can manage. Yeah.
Okay, one more if I may.
Yes, of course.
If the rules, how Google is going to decide which of the competitors is going to be presented, is it something like
it's
a
Google.
policy that is going to be presented, or?
So yes,
it's going to be some magic.
It's going to have an algorithm, of course, to see which action is going to be suggested to which kind of user. I suppose if two different users do the exact query, it's not going to suggest the same apps because it's going to take into account, I suppose, your profile, what you generally do, the apps that you already have. What is your app usage, what you're doing, what time of the day is, if you're at your home, if you're in the car, if you're outside, a lot of different, of course, I don't know the algorithm. They have said that of course, they're going to use a lot of parameters. But the thing is, I was saying before, you can optimize it. You can optimize it through, how do you say, usage reporting. There's actually features when you develop an app, you can allow Google to measure what action or what it is the usage of your app. So if you take advantage of the feature, it can only work to your advantage.
And do you think the 1.0 version will be available once Google Pi is there, or do you know some dates
when it will be available? So as consumers, we can already see some of those on Android Pi, and as developers, unfortunately, I don't have a date. Yes, I'd really like for me to actually do a real demo showing how it works, but I can't. I can show you videos of Googlers doing it, but I think it's not that interesting. If you want to watch a video, just watch it, I don't know, at your home. But yes, I'm really looking forward to it, but I have no idea when they're going to launch it, hopefully soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thanks. Up there.
Hi.
Hey.
Is it works only for English or other language?
So, as you know, for Google, as they're an American company, everything works really well first in English. It's the same thing for app actions. They are not even, I think if you have your phone in another, I have to test it because my phone is in English. If I put it in another language like French or Portuguese or something like that, I think it won't work. I know that built-in intents that you know are really the base of app actions, those right there. Those with the stars are live now. And of course, they're live now in English. And English US, not even English UK and everything. And they have said on the list that there are 4 upcoming languages. I know that French from France is there, German from Germany, and there are 2 more, maybe Spanish, and maybe Japanese, something like that. So yes, so the real problem with this kind of new features right there, in general also with the Google Assistant, and when you manage this kind of data, is that it's really localized. And there are really, the algorithms for each language are a little bit different because you're dealing with semantics and linguistics and things that are really difficult. So the rollout for different languages is really slow. Unfortunately, yes, built-in intents, for example, they're only available in American English for now. Any more questions? No, so thank you very much. And I'll stay around if you want to chat or you have any questions and you're too shy to ask them. Thanks.